Welcome to Wildlife Outdoors with your host, Russell and Jose. If you have a passion for conservation of the outdoors, or you're enjoying a calming hike in the mountains, an exhilarating kayak trip on the river, feeling a fish on the end of your line, cooking on an open flame in a primitive campsite, or stalking big game, just waiting for the perfect shot, you're in the right place. So put on your boots and polarized sunglasses and come along for the ride.
Welcome back to another episode of Wildlife Outdoors. We've got another exciting one for you today. We have a fellow wildfly follower, fellow fly fisherman, and an avid outdoorsman joining. So today we got Connor Ackerman. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. How are you guys?
Hey, man, I'm doing great.
Good, man. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, appreciate you having me.
Hey, of course, we're happy to have you on. So, in your avid outdoorsmanship, I recently found out that you do a lot of duck hunting. And so recently, reached out to you via Patreon for Wildfly Productions. And, how we kind of came about getting you on here was talking about redfish. And, you live in Louisiana. So we're going to talk about bow fishing and redfish and regulations. And then to find out you're a duck hunter and it's currently waterfowl season. So might as well talk a little bit about that as well. So, it sounds like you're probably more of a hunter than actually a fisherman. Is that true?
Well, it's sort of true. That's by opportunity, not necessarily by choice. I live a little far inland, but to be honest with you, my father-in-law, he was a fly fishing guide starting in '94. He was one of the first redfish fly guides down here in South Louisiana. He kind of helped pioneer that industry.
I see.
That's pretty awesome.
Really, really awesome. It's he unfortunately had to retire in 2014 due to kidney failure and things like that. So it's some other medical things happened, but still, he's what really got me into fly fishing, and through that I've met a bunch of buddies, here in Lafayette, Louisiana, where I live, and we're all super, super big into fly fishing. I got another buddy that part of our group. He's now a guide down out of Cocodrie. Shout out the Crosswaters Guide Service. But he's a good dude, and that's kind of how my fly fishing started. So.
That's awesome. So you started mainly on redfish?
Mainly on redfish, yeah. That's where my fly fishing beginnings are. Now, when I met my father-in-law and I was fishing, it was not fly fishing at first sight. That took some... it was a very humbling experience.
I can imagine.
I grew up in Southeast Louisiana, just north of New Orleans, but we were running trot lines on the river for catfish and stuff, and and that's the kind of fishing that I grew up doing. Was whatever you could, and then everybody really hunted. It grew up. You fished because it wasn't hunting season.
I see.
And so that's it's kind of what it's become. But now that we were talking a little bit ago about my duck lease. This year, it's bull red season. Also, it's the middle of duck season, but this is the wintertime. This is bull red season in the marsh. So I've been able to have some more opportunities with not being in the duck lease this year to actually get out in the marsh and do some of that red fishing that I've been missing out on.
Nice.
So
when you head to the duck line, you pack a rod with you too?
I don't do much marsh hunting, to be honest with you. I wish I did more marsh hunting. So, more around here. It's more it's timber stuff. It's more timber hunting or rice field where you get the opportunity to. So
there was a photo, maybe a year or two, maybe a little bit older than that, but I think it might have been from Meat Eater. There's a photo that was submitted that these guys, I think it might have been in Texas too. If I'm not mistaken, it might have gone to Kingsville, but they went duck hunting on the coast and they packed a rod, and this dude caught I think it was a bull red. And you can see the decoy spread. You can see the blind in the back, He's just there holding this massive redfish. I was like, dude, that's pretty sick.
They have quite a few what they call cast and blast guide services, where you go out and you go and you do some duck hunting in the morning. When you get out of the duck blind, you go do some either speckled trout fishing or some red fishing. Go back to the camp.
That sounds like
a
good day.
Yeah,
some good eating too.
yeah,
No
heck of a day,
turf.
man. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, absolutely.
That would be freaking awesome. Yeah. So you went from limb lines and trout lines to fly fishing for reds. So going to fly fishing in general is a complete culture shock, but then trying to target redfish on the fly rod, like how long was it before you started finding even a little bit of success doing that?
It was quite some time, because to be honest with you, it was one of those situations where I would, my father-in-law is a lot like, he's more, me and my dad are very close, but me and my father-in-law are also very close. So when he's teaching me how to fly fish, it was like a dad teaching you how to fish, and a lot of aggravation.
Hold the damn flashlight right here.
I was just gonna say that.
So absolutely. So it would get to the point sometimes where we were still packing a conventional rod with me. I was packing the spinning rod and the trusty gold spoon, man, and it was like, we're gonna fly fish for about 10 minutes here, and then he would tell me to put that shit up, and you need to go practice more.
So dude, I can't even imagine. So I've only caught and landed one redfish on the fly rod. I've hooked another that was actually larger than the massive one that I actually landed. And then I've caught reds, on conventional gear prior to that, which was typically on silver or gold spoons, fishing off the jetties and whatever else. So I can't even fathom going from like nothing to that, because my first fly fishing experience was with Jose, and I caught like a 12-inch bass on a 3-weight glass rod. And that's why I'm hooked. I mean, I felt everything. Yeah. And then after that, it was a lot of brim fishing. So like I didn't start catching big fish. Like for years, I was constantly catching fish the size of my finger. And that's not even an exaggeration. I was constantly catching tiny fish. And then one year I caught a big brown, caught a big cutthroat, caught a big carp, caught a big redfish, like all in one year. And that's when the big fish started coming. But for years, it was tiny fish. So I couldn't even imagine going like straight to reds. That's insane.
Yeah, believe it or not, my first trout that I ever caught was on the Yellowstone River in Montana.
Nice. Wow.
So a buddy of mine, we and ever since then, we go fish. There's a lot of stockers up at, the closest trout fishing I have me here is Broken Bow, Oklahoma. So there's no secret about that place. It's stocked. There's people. I've heard you guys talk about the Guadalupe. It's a lot like that, man. I mean, you can catch it at some good times, but it's pretty jam packed with the tourists and stuff. You're trying to fish, you catch a fish in the net, they're coming and looking, oh man, what you got? It's like, I just want a piece, man.
Yeah.
So, but no, we got to go up to a Charlie Crockett concert in Missoula, Montana, and then we made our way over to Bozeman, and I had a buddy with me, and we're like, dude, we're in Montana, we need to fish.
Right, you have to.
Yeah, like we can't come to Montana and be here for a week and not put a line in the water somewhere. So
right.
Yeah.
It sounds like a heck of a week, man. Some good music, some good fishing.
Yeah. Good music, good fishing. We got to catch all 4 species of trout. We caught cutthroat, cutbow, rainbow, and brown.
Dang, dude.
That's awesome. On one day. To be fair, it was my first time doing any kind of fishing like that. So it was all strike indicators and nymphing, But it was April. It was a cold April day. It started snowing on us.
Dude, there's just something about fly fishing in the snow. Like fly fishing is an art form in its own. And then you add the snow, which just adds beauty to anything. Like it's so like, I don't know, it's just peaceful out there. And I've been fly fishing in the snow, I think maybe like 4 times. Yeah. And I think I've caught something 1 out of those 4 times, but every single time I've thoroughly enjoyed it until my guides start freezing up and then you can't get a cast. And one of those instances was on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, and I ended up with a articulated fly, both hooks in my shoulder past the barb, so that wasn't fun either.
Nice.
But just the snow on the ground and the the sound of the rushing water and fly fishing, like it's just so peaceful out there. And to be able to do it in Montana, like that's insane.
See, dude, I've never fished in the snow. I'd love to. It don't snow here in Texas, so I never got the chance.
So believe it or not, Scotty, and the wildfly, with what he's got going on, last summer, he kind of inspired a trip of mine. My wife and I had a rooftop tent on the back of my pickup truck, and my wife and I took off, and we started at Great Smoky Mountain National Park, and we drove the Blue Ridge Parkway. I fished with the Due South guys there, and Paco. Awesome. I fished with those guys. He took us to some cool spots, and we fished our way up the Blue Ridge Parkway. And my wife was a trooper. She camped we were like 12 days road trip, Louisiana.
Dang.
Man, I think we stayed one night in our hotel in 12 days. And she was a trooper. Though. Yeah, she was.
Did you catch a native brookie?
No, man. That was on my list too. And I tried. And Paco's like, man, we've got this little secret hole that we're gonna go to, and it looks like a brookie stream. And I'm like, all right, cool. And he's like, it's not though. It's brown trout. Like, that's awesome. Like, yeah, I'm like, no, I want to go catch brookies, man. I tried all over the Smokies too. I tried to go catch brookies, but man, the rainbow up there just freaking taking over.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. They're like super. I think that they've got like a moratorium on rainbow trout or something like that. Like I don't think they care if don't quote on this, but I want to say there was something that I was reading about. They really don't have any regulations on rainbow trout because they're invasive. They compete with the brook trout.
Yeah.
Too much. And so the brook trout are just getting pushed back and back and back. So you have to go real high up in elevation to go catch brook trout, actually.
I see. That makes sense.
So, yeah. So it's it was interesting. I didn't get my brookie, though. And I'm going to go back. I'm going to get one, man.
You have to.
My buddies down here that all redfish, they're like, why do you want to go chase a 10-inch brook trout around? Like, I don't know. I just want to go. Yeah, I don't know. It makes sense, but
it's just like one of the things on the checklist you got to do. If you're a fly fisherman, like catching a brookie, it may not fight. You may not really, catch a lot of them, but they're just a gorgeous fish. They're just something you got to check off. Man.
Yeah, man. No, it's something about them. It's the fly fishing is a lot about the place too. Man.
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
It's the adventure. Right, of it all, right? It's like, yeah, I went here and I caught a fish,
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not always that's the whole thing. Like we care so much about the fly rod that we put in our hands, right? When you're catching fish that small, it doesn't matter about the fly reel at all. Hardly, you're never even using the thing. But
yeah, we
care about what's on our rod. It's like all of these things are. A part of it, where we're at and who we're with. Those are the trips that I care about, who I'm taking on that trip with me.
Yeah.
Who I want to have that experience with. Even.
Yeah, exactly.
The
whole experience itself is intimate, not only from the places you go and, but the close quarter combat with that fish. Majority of the time you're sight fishing. So you're seeing the whole process of it. Fly fishing in general is an intimate thing. Like you have to be in tune with your rod. You have to feel on your back cast to have the rod load. And, of course the fly line has a lot to do with your cast and you have to have this relationship with your gear. And then it's intimate because you're sight casting majority of the time. And then you're in close quarters with, the people you take and then the places you go to. Like it's just a whole encompassment of an intimate situation. So I agree with that. It's more about the journey and the experience than the actual fish itself.
I think we take for granted a lot the marsh here in South Louisiana because nobody else gets to experience that, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's one of those things that you go to Montana, and I don't know if you ever get tired of the mountains, but if you're a guide and you're on the Yellowstone every day, it's like, this is the Yellowstone and we're catching fish and there's some deer on the side. And it's like, dude, this is awesome. They come down
Yeah.
here and they're like, yeah, this marsh is so awesome. There's birds everywhere. I'm like, dude, it's flat. There's nothing to look at. It's grass everywhere. Grass and water. That's all you got to look at.
It's all perspective, man.
Yeah.
That's
that
great.
and our oil rigs,
Yeah.
Dude, I really like the marsh. Last time I went down there and I went fishing out of Venice, I remember we were going through, it was, I don't know if do y'all call it flood tides whenever high tide's there and then you're going through the marsh?
Not really. Cause we get, it's got to be a full moon for us to get a crazy tide swing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes our tides, we might have a day where the tide doesn't move, but maybe a couple of inches. So
I see.
We do get some pretty good tide swings, but nothing like the Carolinas. They're getting feet of tide swings.
Yeah.
We might have 12 inches of tide swing.
That makes sense. Well, we were going through some channels in the marsh, and I mean, just the amount of wildlife we saw. Of course, we saw the American alligators, and you'll see your blue herons, and you'll see some egrets and stuff like that, and you'll see the occasional spoonbill. But it was like every time we were just traveling, going to get to the next spot, I had my camera in hand because I knew I was going to see something, and I just felt like a giddy kid. It's like, oh, look at that. Trying to take a picture or video of something off in the distance. Like, it's new to me because I don't get to experience it very often. So I definitely do have a love for the marsh. And then Louisiana in general, like, I'm a foodie. I love food. And there's great food all over there. And and we found this little hidden gem. Do you ever go to Gretna?
Sometimes my wife's from Kenner area. So like, that's where you'd fly into if you flew into New Orleans. So
I see.
She got some family over there. Stay away from the West Bank as much as I can. But
yeah. Well, we ended up in Gretna, and we found two little holes in the wall. One was an Indian place, and one was a Thai place, and those were some of the best Indian and Thai respective places that I've ever had. And both were in Gretna of all places. And so, I mean, I love food. So going to places like that have great food as well that's just icing on the cake for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. And it's funny, across the state of Louisiana, the difference in food from New Orleans to where I live in Lafayette, and Cajun versus Creole, that's it's different, everybody looks at jambalaya or gumbo, all that stuff. But no, man, it's definitely the culture, and it's a fishing culture down here. But it's definitely it's definitely tough to compete with. There's because you're competing with an old mindset of a fish to survive, and that's been passed down, and you respect that, right? Like there was I think it was until the 60s or 70s that there's a place here just south of Lafayette, Pecan Island. They didn't have a road built. There was no road. They got their mail by boat once a week.
Wow.
Really?
Down there, there was no road till like the 60s or 70s.
That's crazy.
To that area. So, I mean, when you have that, I mean, that's fairly recent history. You got people that live there. You've had hunting regulations implemented, but nobody's going down there to enforce that. Those people are raising they're growing everything. They don't have a grocery store to go to. So we're only one maybe two generations off of that way of living here.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
That is.
So conservation is really a new topic for a lot of people,
Yeah.
And it ruffles some feathers, because they look at fly fishermen in some aspects and say, well, you guys just want all of the fish to yourself, and we there's a lot of guides out there that their goal is to get their group of 4 guys their limit of fish and get back in by 10 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
It's like, man, I kind of paid you for a whole day of fishing. Be a little more entertaining here, Get me out here, get me experience on the water. And it's just completely different for a redfish guide, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the redfish guides are like, hey man, grow a personality.
Right.
I got to entertain people on a boat for 8 hours. That's what they paid for.
Yeah,
exactly.
But But
they come ready with boat snacks and everything.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. So it's definitely different, man. We just earlier last year, there was a lot of pushback because redfish here in Louisiana, we still have a very good fishery, but we want to preserve that, right? We're definitely seeing a decline in that.
Yeah.
And with our redfish slot limits and our slot limits and our creel limit, they hadn't changed since 1989, and they came into play when the commercial harvest of redfish was legal. And they said, well, if we set a 5 fish creel limit and the slot limit since 1989 was 16 to 27, and you could keep one bull over 27, right? And so the biologists did their due diligence, and they came back, and we had a survey put out, and the consensus from the survey was that we would like to see we want to see a significant change here. We talk about some ballot box biology. You hear that term thrown out there, good bit. And we have lobbyists that have their way of things, and there's compromise. But the general consensus from the group, and I have it pulled up here just so I know I'm not talking out of my ass or anything, but it was what was proposed. The notice of intent was to change it from 16 to 27 to an 18 to 24 inch, and no over slots, and a 3 fish creel limit. What actually ended up happening was we got an 18 to 27, and we got a 4 fish. So instead of 5 fish, it went to 4 fish, and instead of 18 to 24, it went from 18 to 27. Still no overslots. You can't keep an overslot anymore.
Okay.
As I think it's July or August of last year. But we take what we can get. But the proposition of the 3 fish 18 to 24 was that we would see a rebound within 10 years.
Yeah.
And that's what the fly fishermen, they were the guides that were going out there, man. They were going to Baton Rouge and going to the state capitol, and they were in the meetings, like, demanding some change because they're like, hey, this is our resource and we need this. And this is where you have the guys that want to put their guys on a bunch of fish, and they're like, well, if I've got 4 guys coming down and they're going to be on a boat and they can't take home 20 fish a day, between the 4 of them, then they're not going to come and fish with me anymore. If they've got to reduce that to 3 fish a day per person as opposed to 5 fish a day per person.
Right.
So, and that's where the fly guys are like, hey man, maybe you should be more entertained on the boat.
Right.
And you'll get people that are returned to come fish with you, because we don't keep fish, and we had people come every year. So, exactly. But so it's been a tough one. Right now, because I think with what it is now, they're expecting what was put in the numbers is closer to a 25 to 30 year recovery timeline over a 10 year.
Oh, wow.
And so when you have that long of a recovery timeline, now how much we're giving the environment, we're giving the marsh a lot of time to change too, right? Things that we don't have as much control of. As conservationists, we've got to do our part to control what we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
And work with Mother Nature, right? And I think we're given a little too much, back to her, because we're losing a lot of marsh every day.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep it. but we're spending millions, if not billions of dollars on coastal restoration here in Louisiana. All the time. So it's a tough pill to swallow, but we got something. So, we got something.
Steps, right? As long as there's progress.
Yeah. That was the first change since 1989, like I said.
Wow, that's crazy.
To 2024, 1989 to 2024.
It's a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. And we just got our speckled trout too. Speckled trout just got reduced from 25 per person to 15 per person.
God dang.
Wow. That's insane.
What are the size limits on that?
I don't speckled trout fish much, but I think that the minimum length on those is 12 inches. I think it's 12 to 18. Crazy.
Is the speckled trout fishery like profound there?
It's really good. It's really good. I mean, you'll have guys. I've got a neighbor across the street. He's an older guy that he prides himself in going out and being able to load his boat down with fish. That's I think the mindset change. That's a generational thing where we're when that's that fishing for food and fishing for sustainment. Hey, a good day on the water, we loaded the boat.
Yeah.
Right? We loaded the boat. And I think that's a mindset change because it's like, whoa, fly fishing, a good day on reds, man. Dude, if we had a 10 red day on fly, that was we're killing it,
Exactly.
So I think there's some change there because you have a lot of these guys like me, and I used to be that way too. Like I said, I grew up, run trot lines and whatnot. And it was like, hey, your measure of success was how much you killed or how much you took, or how big it, and still, we still like to catch big fish, right? Don't get me wrong. But it was like, it's just, it's cool to see some change, some shift.
Absolutely. And I think you're absolutely right about the whole, it's just a generational mindset thing. But now I'd like to kick it to today's sponsor, Foretold Coffee Company. Elevate your outdoor adventures with Foretold Coffee's premium single origin coffees, meticulously roasted to satisfy both specialty coffee professionals and nature enthusiasts alike. Founded by former airborne cavalry scout Joshua Sandoval, his mission is to bring the mountains home with every cup. Experience their 3 flavors, Peruvian cocoa, El Salvadoran bourbon, and Mexican honey, which is my favorite. So check them out at foretoldcoffeeco.com. I've also heard that you can bowfish redfish there. Is that?
Yeah. That's a touchy subject for a lot of guides here. Not just guides, but it's mostly the fly fish industry that has a lot of problems with it. To be honest with you,
I see.
It's the general population. It's like, yeah, man, cool. We get to go bowfish.
Yeah.
The New Orleans Saints, they take that every year for their bonding experience. They go get a bunch of airboat guides out of Venice area, and they go bow fishing, in the marsh.
I did not know that.
But it's a very, so the reason why it's such a touchy subject for me is because it's hard to convince me that you can tell now with the new limits, it's hard to convince me that you can tell the difference between a 17 and an 18-inch red before you shoot it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Or a 27 and a 28-inch red, because we're not allowed any overslots anymore. Before you were allowed one overslot. Now you're not allowed any. So if you got an 18 to 27-inch slot, what are your odds of shooting an underslot and an overslot? And they were a big proponent of not the bow fishing guides were a big proponent of not having any change, because
really,
they have a bigger slot, they have a larger margin that they don't have error in. But I've started to see some things in the state that that gives me hope that they're gonna maybe do something about it. if you are now fishing below the saltwater line in the state of Louisiana, and that's what distinguishes whether you need a freshwater license or a saltwater license. If you fish below the saltwater line in the state, you must have both licenses. But if you're fishing below the saltwater line and you are bow fishing, it is a free, I guess, license, if you will. But it's free. You must obtain a bow fishing permit to fish below the saltwater line. So what they're trying to do is actually determine how many bow fishermen are actually fishing redfish below the saltwater line. And then from there, they want to do a study on whether or not the amount of people are actually having any significant impact on the fishing being done. Because it's mostly guides. It's mostly bow fishing guides. But I would say that most of the fishing industry here in Louisiana is not, we do have a lot of commercial harvest fishing, but the guide industry is a big tourist attraction for Louisiana, between Venice and Cocodrie and even Southwest Louisiana over in Calcasieu Lake in that area. That's a massive market. So, people go rent camps and get their guides and whatnot.
Sure, it does a lot for the economy. For the state in general. Yeah,
it does. And because of that, there's a lot of voices from all over. Right. So, but yeah, that the bow fishing thing, man, it's just very, very, my biggest hang up with it is the, being able to tell what's in slot and what's not in slot. Once you shoot it, it's dead. You can't put
exactly.
Once you shoot it, there's no catch and release. That fish doesn't have another shot. So, because before I was really kind of educated on that too, and that's an educational thing for a lot of people too. Is they're like, oh man, cool, we get to go bow fish, and then I kind of share my gripes and complaints about bow fishing with some people, and they're like, oh, I kind of see what you're saying here.
Yeah,
I see how that could be a problem. But yeah, bow fishing is a weird subject, man.
Yeah. I mean, the way that I see it is very similarly to you is, obviously the limit, but at the same time, I mean, I have nothing against bow fishing in general, but if you have a species that is already under regulation for conservation efforts for fishermen, I just don't understand why people would still be wanting to bowfish redfish in particular. I mean, it's a game species. There's plenty of other rough fish out there that can be bowfished. Are they doing it mainly for the culinary factor? Or are they doing it for what is making them want to bowfish redfish?
It's I think a lot of it is the ease of access to redfish, right? The marsh is very shallow. You get in there and you get in clean water with lights, man. It's not like fishing carp and dirty water all the time. Even dirty, mucky marsh water. If you put lights on it at night, you can see some stuff moving through it. I really don't know what the allure is to bowfish and redfish. I wish I had an answer there, and I haven't been given an answer that would convince me that it's a good thing.
Right.
Even so, it's other than the fact that it's recreationally fun.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, if you still have to abide by the slots, a 27-inch redfish is a good fish, but I would much rather go bowfish for a 6-foot alligator gar. Right. If that were the case, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's other species there that I feel like would be more recreationally fun than a slot of a redfish. I mean, redfish do taste good. Yes, I agree with that. But if there's already, conservation efforts because there's a known issue, like I get not trying to change things too drastically because of the way that things have been for, ever. But at the same time, it's like, I mean, at some point in my opinion, somebody needs to put their foot down, and if you take care of this resource, then maybe you can open it up, in a few years or whatever.
Right.
I feel like there's something more that can be done, because like you said, once you shoot it, like there's no catch and release in hunting. And essentially that's what you're doing.
Yeah, you're hunting the fish. You're absolutely hunting the fish.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what I like about fly fishing redfish, is that I still get that kind of appeal of the stalk of the fish with the sight fishing aspect.
Exactly.
But I get to put that resource back.
Yep.
I look at when you get into technical fly fishing for redfish in your sight fishing, I equate that to stalking, guys bow hunting elk, right?
Yeah.
Like it's you and the fish. I've got my shot. Whereas bow fishing is not like bow hunting an elk.
Yeah.
You're out there with lights. You're pulling up on it. There's an aspect of fair chase involved with that too. Like, you don't really give him his opportunity to get away either, because he might be a little lethargic. The water's a little colder at night, all those things. He's not moving around as much, and you got a spotlight on him.
Yeah.
So can't spotlight deer at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good.
We got to give, and these fish we have one of the most pressured fisheries in the country. We have one of the most pressured saltwater fisheries out next to Florida. That is next to Florida.
Yeah.
Florida is a different animal, but I mean, when you go to Venice and you see the amount of guides just running out of Venice.
Yeah.
I mean, how many of those fish have had shots put on them over and over and over and over again, and then they don't get to rest because we get to go bow fish them at night now, and they're talking about immense pressure, that a fish has on it, time and time again.
Exactly.
Especially the slot fish that stay up in the marsh. Your bulls at least get some relaxation, because in the summertime they're pushing off to the deep to find the cooler water. Mm-hmm. That's when they push in, and they get their most pressure in the fall into the early spring when we're sight fishing them. But it's tough, and I think there's a certain level of legal. I don't want to say this. I don't want to talk about speak to anybody's character, but there's like a legal outlaw aspect to it, right? Like, you kind of feel a little bit, like people like to do, nefarious things, and it kind of, there's no, I don't know how to put it other than it just feels like when you're hunting something at night, I guess the same could be said for frogging. I like frogging at night too. So, I don't know. It's, I don't know. It's just different.
I can agree with that.
I don't know if that makes sense at all. But,
it does for me. Absolutely. I mean, there's just something different about you going out in the daylight or in the mornings and stalking an animal, whether it's hunting or fishing. And, it has its chance. It's almost like a one-on-one dance. And it's like, it's just one of those things to where it seems like there's more of a chance, and it's more sportsman, there's more sportsmanship to it. But just like those that'll go out and poach a deer, spotlighting deer at night and shooting them with a caliber they're not supposed to, like, obviously that's illegal. And, but I kind of see nighttime bow fishing leaning, not quite to that extent, but leaning more that direction than going out in the daytime, giving the animal, a chance and having more of a one-on-one dance with it. It's almost like you're catching them when they're not expecting it. You're shining a light on them. And you're just like, oh yeah, I'm going to get them. That's just what the attitude seems like to me. And I'm sure that might, not be the case, but that's just the way that I see it.
Right. And that, like I said, not to speak to anybody's character that participates in it or not, but, it's just a very tough thing for me to agree with. We're not allowed to do it for bass. You know.
Yeah. So that's another point. It's like, if you can't do it for bass, why do it for redfish?
Yeah. I think part of that is that the state doesn't. There's no definition. There's no real definition of game fish for saltwater in the state of Louisiana either.
I see.
So we have regulated saltwater species, but there's no, to the extent. I mean, we also target sheep's head. Like they're like, as fly fishermen, we target sheep's head as if they were a game fish too. But there's no real regulations on sheep's head.
Yeah.
At all. But
there's no like bag limits or size limits for sheep's head? Or they're just pretty, I guess, liberal.
If there is, it's pretty liberal. I can let's see here. There's no creel or size limit for sheep's head in Louisiana. Yeah, and sheep's head's year round. Yeah. So there's no nothing here. All right.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a hot take on bow fishing in Louisiana.
Yeah.
I think me and you are in agreement in a lot of that. And
I hope I gave you an answer worthwhile, I guess. You
absolutely
give you some perspective into what the culture is down here, though. And I think that plays into that culture thing, though. I think there's some of that that's not so lost, because it is pretty recent history,
Yeah. I mean, hell, 60s, 70s, that's extremely recent.
Yeah. I mean, that's my parents were born in the 60s, man, so,
right.
Yeah.
And it's hard too, because generally speaking, people seem to be fairly resistant to change, really resistant to like the unknown and things like that. And this has been pretty much like commonplace in Louisiana's history for me, like forever. And like you said, no significant changes have been made since like the late 80s or whatever. So to start having regulations shift now from what is fairly liberal to something that's a bit more conservative, it's going to be a huge change. And I can see why there'd be, resistance to that, because it's like almost the exact opposite of what people are used to, even though, it has benefits to the resource, benefits that they will still be able to enjoy later on down the road. But it's just like the short-sighted, aspect of the human, I guess, experience makes it kind of hard to see that, so
I think there's a little bit of distrust in the government too, as where the government says, well, we're going to reduce this with the intent on giving it back to you, right? And it's like, well, as a sportsman, what usually gets taken, we don't usually get back a whole lot, so I think there's a lot of distrust there that, if there's promise of 10 years with a 3 fish limit, it's like, well, why would they give that back to us? Why would they bump it back up to 5? But we see it with ducks, though. We see it happen with ducks all the time.
Shifts in population dictate shifts in bag limits and stuff.
And absolutely. And so I guess that's where I do trust the biologists and the people that we have in place. Unfortunately, those aren't the people that always make the decisions at the state level here. But I trust those numbers because they, to a certain extent, when we get into duck hunting, and I see that given back to the hunter, because I've heard that there's a proposition for certain flywoods to go to a 3 pintail limit, and they're going to try that for 3 years and see what that does, to see if that has any effect, or are we going to go back to 1 pintail or anything like that. So, because you have people complaining and they're like, we hear you. So when the squeaky wheel gets the grease sometimes.
Yeah.
So And that's where the fly fisherman came to play. I mean, at least we got something. We're happy with that. Somebody listened somewhere, some way, somehow, that we got some reduction in support of our fishery, because it's important.
Absolutely.
It's an important resource. It's a wonderful resource that I want my daughter and generations on to continue to enjoy. I don't want to see it go away. So
yeah. I agree with that 100%. And it's good that there's been some steps taken. A baby step is better than a step backwards or no step at all. So I hope it eventually turns into something more and you're able to just conserve that resource and have it plentiful for generations to come due to the changes that are being made. So, and I hope that they just become more widely accepted by, people that have lived there for generations. And I see both sides of it. Like, you want to take something from me, something that I've always done. Like, I get it. So it seems like things are moving in the right direction though. So that's a good thing.
slowly but surely, but yeah, we're getting something, man. And then,
that's good.
Hey, guides can't keep a limit. That's another big change that happened though. Guides used to be able to keep a limit. So if you were guiding and you had 4 guys on your boat, you could keep 25 fish.
I see. So now the guide does not count as...
Yeah, the guide does not count.
That's pretty awesome. I like that.
So that's a big win.
Yeah, for sure.
So, you can't fish a little bit longer because you got guys that now they put their 16 fish on the boat. Man, you get another 4 fish, catch my limit for me. That's not the spirit of the law, man. That's not how it's supposed to go,
Well, that's definitely another win then.
Yeah, absolutely. So we take what we can get, like I said. So keep on keeping on.
That's all you can do.
Yep.
So, but we are getting to a point now to where we want to try something new. So on the episode we recorded before this one, we tried to do a trivia with our guest, and our sponsor, Foretold Coffee, has given us a discount code for their coffee, and the winner of this trivia game will win that discount code if they want to take it upon themselves to go get this amazing coffee. So I have 5 questions. Last time we did 10 questions, and last time it was open answer. This time we're going to try 5 questions, multiple choice, tailored to our guest's knowledge as well as ours. And so I came up with these questions. Jose has never seen these questions, and we will do a competition. The winner of said competition gets that discount code. And if Jose chooses, if he were to win, he could pass that on to a listener that we will come up with a competition for them to win. So we are going to do a paper and pen time this time. So you answer your question, write it on the pen and paper, and then you'll hold up your answer at the end. So are y'all ready?
Yep. I'm ready to go,
Perfect. Man. All righty. So this episode has been mainly about fly fishing, a little bit about duck hunting. We got some duck hunting questions on here as well. So fly fishing requires specific gear to master the art of presenting flies delicately on the water. One of the most important pieces of equipment is the fly line working in conjunction with the fly rod to cast flies effectively. Unlike traditional fishing lines, fly lines are categorized by weight to match the rod and reel. What system is used to classify the weight of a fly line, typically ranging from 1 to 14, to ensure that it balances properly with the rod? A, line strength system. B, weight forward system. C, American Fly Fishing Standard. Or D, American Fishing Tackle Manufacturers Association.
Going with my best guess on this one, man. This is that's not a question. That's a good one. That's not a question that I've ever been asked before.
Yeah, I think majority of these I didn't know prior to looking them up. So
yeah, that's
y'all both
solid.
have y'all's answers.
Yeah, yes. I got mine.
All right, go ahead and show them to the camera.
Sorry if you can't read my handwriting.
So Connor put B, and Jose put
D.
D. The answer is D.
Oh, yeah.
So Jose got that one.
I knew it was AFTMA. I just didn't know what it stood for.
I see.
That's
I didn't even know.
That's something I should know. My father-in-law has like multiple, IGFA records caught on his boat and stuff, and he's been. That's a question I should know the answer to.
Well, Jose took the lead with 1-0. All right, on to the second question. So on December 2nd, 2024, drummer Del Gray rejoined his band Little Texas after he took a 3-year hiatus. This performance took place in Sulphur, Louisiana. And so that leads to a question about another kind of drummer, the red drum, a fish with significance to Texas and Louisiana. During spawning, male red drum produce a unique drumming sound to attract females. What part of the red drum's anatomy is responsible for creating this sound? A, swim bladder, B, jawbones, C, spinal column, or D, stones held in their stomach?
Can you go over the list of answers again, please?
A, swim bladder, B, jawbones, C, spinal column, D, stones in their stomach.
This is a guess. No idea. I like the segue, though. I like how you set that up, dude. I was like, where the heck is he going with this, dude?
Yeah.
That was a tough one. I was like, red drum. I was like, I want to do something with a drummer. And every drummer that I looked up having to do with anything with Louisiana or Texas was always a jazz drummer out of Louisiana that really didn't have any prevalence to Texas.
Dude,
so like,
when you said the red one, I was like, Red Hot Chili Peppers? Like, I don't know that dude's name. Oh, man, that was good. I like that.
All right. Y'all have y'all's answers?
Yeah, I've got mine.
Got mine.
All right. What y'all got?
Put a B again.
B, and Jose has
A. Oh, sorry. Can you?
All right, you wrote A?
Yes.
The answer is A, swim bladder.
Golly. I'm sucking at this.
Well, maybe you'll take Jose on the duck ones.
Let's see. Oh.
All right. So the next question also has to do with the red drum. So the red drum is a celebrated fish species along the Gulf Coast. It is impressive to compare its lifespan to some iconic celebrities who sadly left us too far. Anna Nicole Smith, a Texas native and cultural icon, Marilyn Monroe, a Hollywood legend, and one of my favorite comedians, Chris Farley. So these fish can outlive all three of those celebrities. What is the typical maximum lifespan of a red drum in the wild? A, 10 years, B, 20 years, C, 40 years, or D, 60 years?
Can you repeat the answers, please?
A, 10, B, 20, C, 40, or D, 60?
Jeez, dude.
I feel terrible.
Oh, man, this one's tough.
I should know more about my fish, man.
Dude, this is a shot in the dark, too. No idea.
All right, y'all both ready? You don't have to show them to the camera. You can just say them.
Okay, gotcha. You go ahead, Connor.
Mine's C. I put down C.
I also put C.
That is correct. 40 years.
Dude,
they
that's
can
impressive.
get up to 60 in perfect conditions, which is rare. Majority of them don't make it past, majority of the bulls don't make it past 30. But 40-year lifespan. I thought that was crazy.
Because I remember hearing or reading some of that, like, a 20-inch redfish is like 3 years or 4 years, something like that. And then as they get older, their growth rate slows down. So I figured, there's some that are going 40, 50 inch, something like that. So I figured they have to be kind of, fairly old. I just didn't know how that correlated.
Yeah, they say that most redfish can grow up to 11 inches in their first year.
Yeah.
And then around that for the next couple, and then it starts to decline. And then I was also reading a case study while doing this research talking about how they haven't even really found mainly any differences in growth rates between male and female, which is interesting to me.
That is pretty interesting.
All righty. Well, we will go on to question 4. So Texas and Louisiana are renowned for their duck hunting opportunities, lying along two major migratory bird flyways, the Central Flyway and the Mississippi Flyway. Both states provide essential habitats for millions of waterfowl every year, including species like mallards, gadwalls, and teal. One key challenge for hunters in these states is adhering to federal guidelines that regulate the use of specific types of ammunition to protect the environment and wildlife. What type of shotgun ammunition is required for waterfowl hunting in Texas and Louisiana? A, lead, B, steel shot or non-toxic shot, C, copper plated shot, or D, tungsten core shot only. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
What y'all got?
B.
So I wrote the answer before you said the thing. I wrote non-toxic. I don't remember what letter that was.
That was B.
Oh, that was B.
Bravo.
Yeah.
All right. So y'all both got that one. All right. So pretty sure Jose won the competition.
Unfortunately. We can ask the question. We'll go through it. Yeah. He got me on the first two. So
he did. And then I'm pretty sure y'all are both going to get this one correct. You had mentioned it earlier while talking about it. So duck hunting is a cherished tradition in both Texas and Louisiana, with both states boasting abundant wetlands that attract migratory waterfowl. One of the most sought after species in these areas is the northern pintail, known for its elegance and speed. However, strict bag limits are often placed on the species due to its declining population. What is the current daily bag limit for northern pintails during duck hunting season in both Texas and Louisiana? Options are A1, B2, C3, or D4.
Shoot. Dang, dude, I don't know. I haven't looked at duck hunting regulations in years.
We did talk about it.
I know, and that's why I'm going to base my answer off of that, because I also kind of just forgot. But I don't know, dude. We'll just.
All right, what you got?
It is
I put
A.
2.
It's 1. It's A.
Damn it! I had a feeling too, because he said 3, and I was like, so is it 2? But I don't know, dude. Damn it. Well, sorry. When I say he said 3, I meant like there's been a proposition to potentially change the bag limit to 3. So I was like, man, that's the only thing I can remember. Dadgummit. Oh,
yep.
I was bad.
So
I believe currently all 4 flyways only allow 1.
Really?
I believe that's the case. All 4 flyways currently.
I see.
Dang, dude, my gut was saying 1 too, because I think that's what it was when I was duck hunting back in the day.
Yeah, for a while there, it was 2. It was 2 pintail.
I see. Well, currently it is 1 in both states.
Yeah. Well, he beat you by 1.
Yep, he did.
It
was a good competition.
Those fly fishing questions, dude. That's the only thing. Like, God dang.
Yeah. If I would have got one of those, man, shoot.
Did you have a tiebreaker question?
I don't. Those are the only questions that I have.
I only had 5. It was out of 5 questions, so
yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So,
but maybe I should, because if one gets one and one doesn't, and one gets the other, it could have been a tie.
Yeah.
So maybe in the future I should have some prepared. But in this case, luckily we don't need one, because I don't have one prepared.
No.
So since Jose won, he can either use the discount code for himself to actually try our sponsor, Foretold Coffee, which I highly recommend. There will be an ad earlier on in this episode, so y'all hear more about it then. But yeah, or he can choose to pass on this discount to a listener, which we would have to come up for some type of competition for that. So what do you choose to do, Jose?
Well, dude, it just so happens I'm running pretty low on coffee. But
so you're gonna?
No, I'm not. I think a listener, hanging in there with us and listening us to just BS, I think they deserve it. So I'm gonna pass it on to the listener, and hopefully they'll be able to tell us how good that stuff is. I'll try it soon, but not today, or not with this coupon code.
Alrighty. Well, if anybody has any ideas for what they want to do for a competition for a listener to win Jose's prize, then let us know. You have any ideas, Connor?
Oh man.
I know I'm putting you on the spot. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah, no. I don't know. need a maybe have some maybe have some inconspicuous callback to an episode, like have some
Ooh,
quote
that's
or
an
something
idea.
like if they're a true listener, then they would, they would
Yeah.
have something that they might
That's pretty
remember
good,
from the
dude.
episode.
I was going to say,
That's really good. Yeah.
submit a drawing of your favorite duck or something. I don't know.
We have a duck stamp competition.
Dude, that'd be
Wildlife Outdoors
awesome.
duck stamp competition. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I do like that.
Yeah.
Give a random detail about your favorite episode.
Yeah.
I think we're just gonna go with that. I really like that idea. What do you think, Jose?
Huh?
I said, what do you think? You think that's good?
Yeah, dude. I'm down for that.
Awesome. Well, yeah. So there you go. To win Jose's prize of this episode, comment anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's a review on Apple or on Spotify, or a comment on Facebook, Instagram, a direct message. Just let us know a random fact from your favorite episode, and you will be entered in a drawing for the prize. So
good deal.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's a great option, Connor. Thank you for that.
Glad I was able to help some, man. I didn't get the coffee, so I can't make it easy on somebody else. So
right.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, hell, it's gonna be random. So if you enter a comment, you still might end up winning.
Hey, look, we'll see.
Right. Well, other than that, I mean, we're kind of getting close to our time here. So we really appreciate your time and your knowledge. And we didn't get into duck hunting as much as we could have. And if we were to do that now, this would end up like a 3-hour long episode. So maybe sometime we can have you on again and we can talk some waterfowl and some of the experiences that you told us prior to us recording. We'd love to hear about it. I'm sure our listeners would as well. So but other than that, man, I mean, what do you have going on here recently or in the future that you want to talk about?
Man, got a lot of work travel coming up. So I just can't wait to get back in the boat in the marsh. That's big,
right,
man.
I bet.
So,
yeah, I'm hoping to get down to some saltwater soon myself.
Yeah, man. I'd love to have you down here. Set you guys up. And get a couple boats out and go down to Coco Marina. Coco Marina is a happening spot, man. It's you can get you a little bunk room. It's like $100 and you sleep 4 people at a bunk room there at Coco, and they got a restaurant. They have a full restaurant, bar, everything.
Really?
That's where a lot of guides run out of. It's probably some of the healthiest marsh that you'll see left in the state. Some really good bull red fishing. Good run down to the islands, down to you can get on the backside of Grand Isle from there. You can go down to all of our barrier islands, and stuff out of Coco. It's a little boat ride, 30-40 minute boat ride to a couple of those places. But yeah, man, yeah, it'd be good to have you guys down, man.
Down there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Get to see something other than Venice. Everybody hears about Venice and talks about Venice, but there's some other places that need some love too, man. So
and I'll be happy to give love to other areas, especially if it involves me getting on redfish on the fly.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So
yeah, cool, dude, we will definitely talk more off the podcast about that. Cause that sounds like a damn good time. But where can people find you at?
Yeah, people can find me on Instagram at it's keep it simple. It's Connor_Ackerman on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook too and whatnot. But outside of that, I've got a little leather working page that I do a little bit of leather work on the side. I got a little page on Instagram. It's Rougarou Leather Co. So I do a little bit of stuff there. Make this is a little koozie I made out of some 4-wing baseball glove leather. Make saddle baseball stitch. Then made my wallet here. So saddle stitch my wallet. Yeah,
I've done some leather work in the past myself. Nothing major. Coin purses, wallet, belts, hat bands.
That's kind of it, man. Yeah. So I got, but it's fun. It's hobby stuff on the side.
Yeah.
And actually, I just started that too. So I might pick your brain about that if you don't mind.
Yeah, I've got a couple little things in the back here. That's what my Craftsman box is back there. You see a couple of my leather tools there.
Heck yeah.
But Yeah, man. Outside of that, I've got a buddy of mine that just built me a fly rod, and he built me a custom 4-weight, and I'm ready to put that on some fish. So,
dude, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Check that out and get on some specs.
Yeah,
Tell you what, man.
It's a G Loomis blank that he built it with, and so it's going to be a slick. It's a slick fish. It's got a carbon fiber handle on it and stuff.
Yeah.
It's
that's
nice.
Awesome.
Tell you what, dude, if you're ever in Texas, man, I live close to a river here. That would be perfect for that forward. That's what I fish it with. Catch some guads, the Texas trout, catch some Rio Grande cichlids, all kinds of stuff, dude.
Yeah, dude. I actually find my way over that way a good bit. I do some my work takes me to Texas quite a bit. So
Heck yeah, man.
Find myself in and around the Austin, San Antonio area for a good little bit.
Sweet,
so
dude.
yeah, I'll definitely take you up on that, man. For sure.
Yep. And if you ever end up here, I got a pretty good carp spot.
Yeah, man. Hey, look, in New Orleans, there's a fly shop. No, we keep going on here, but there's a little fly shop called No Wake Outfitters, man, and it's in Metairie, and every year they put on they just started. I say every year. I think they just had their first annual or second annual. It's called the Dirty Carp. So it's take pictures, send in my phone, but it's basically a biggest carp tournament, and you go around and fish all the canals around New Orleans. So you're just driving up in your car to these random canals, but they've got some sick prizes like hatch reels, TFO gift certificates, and all kinds of stuff for fishing carp, Dude, in the canals in New Orleans. So it's a pretty cool. It's a really awesome. Just get outside. It doesn't require a boat. It requires a vehicle, a car and your 2 feet to get to somewhere to fish. So I think fishing tournaments like that are really, really neat, man. Something that doesn't, and carp aren't something you got to be crazy technical at, but it'd take enough, they're finicky, right? They'll spook on you pretty good. But
dude, that is awesome. You know what time of year that happens?
I want to say it's a spring thing. I kind of I'm gonna pull it up real quick. Let's see. Dude, they have a Facebook. There's an Instagram. There's an Instagram.
What'd you call it?
The Dirty Carp.
Dirty Carp. Sounds like something we might have to check out, Russell.
Dude, for sure. Yeah. I love carp fishing.
It's Dirty Carp NOLA. So Dirty Carp NOLA. That's what it is on Instagram. Awesome. Yeah. They've got I think they gave away a turtle box and all kind of stuff.
Nice.
Dude, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
yeah, I need to definitely put that on my calendar.
Yeah.
That sounds like a damn good time.
Yeah.
And then being in New Orleans, food and stuff like that, and then could head down south and go get on some reds.
It's 2-man teams. So yeah, it's 2-man teams. So longest 3 fish. Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
So it goes by length, not weight.
Yeah, it's a length. It's a length thing, not a weight thing. So yeah, longest 3 fish. But it looks like it happens around May every year. But yeah, No Wake Outfitters puts that on, man. So
yeah, dude, that would be awesome. So we going to New Orleans in May, Jose?
Yeah, go fish the carp tournament, man.
Dude, that would be freaking awesome.
That would be.
Hell yeah.
Well, be the only out-of-staters
about that.
Be the only out-of-staters coming come fish some.
I don't know anybody that crosses the state lines to fish for carp.
Yeah. Well, more or less a tournament for carp fishing, know?
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
I like doing tournaments for weird stuff. Like we have a pickerel fly. Well, it's not even fly fishing. It's just a fishing tournament for pickerel here. And I always do it fly, and it's against conventional fishermen and everything like that. And first year I ever did it, I actually came in 3rd, I think it was. And I was, one of, I think 5 fly guys out there, and there was probably 10 to 15 conventional guys. So I was pretty proud of that, placing as a fly fisherman. But I like fishing for weird stuff, toothy stuff, big stuff, fat stuff, slow stuff. It don't matter to me. If it's gonna bite, I want to fish for it.
There's another tournament called the Sheepy.
Really? And sheep's head,
it's for sheep's head. Yeah, but it's weird because the sheep's head, they like to say, I've never fished on the east side of the river, but they say the sheep's head are more finicky on the east side of the river than the west side of the river. They say they're a lot easier to fish on the west side.
I see.
But yeah, the weather for that tournament usually ends up being terrible because it's in February every year. So it's either raining, cold, you're blown out days. Like it's a horrible time of year. But everybody goes and has a great time, man.
That's awesome. I've actually never caught a sheep's head on the fly.
I never have either.
I caught my first one a couple of months ago. I was fishing with my buddy Steven out of Cocodrie, and it's just a dirty water day. We weren't finding any reds, and we weren't really taking the fishing seriously too much because we just had a day to go. And I think I'm throwing a clouser or something at we see a little sheep's head tailing on the grass, and I'm like, oh man, but he's like, take a shot at it. I was like, after casting 2, 3, 4 times at it, I look back and I'm like, I don't think I've caught a sheepy on fly. He goes, what are we doing, man? Let's be serious about it. And one cast in there, man, and he goes off into the murk, and I lost my fly. I'm like, oh man, I lost this fish. I pick up and he's on.
Dude, no way.
Yeah, I just lost him in the dirt, and I'm just like, man, I was ready to just like, screw it, man, done for the day. And he was on and landed my first sheepy just like that.
Nice.
Everybody's like, they're so finicky. They're so finicky. And I'm like, are they?
Dude,
right?
The only times that I've fly fished on the coast has been out of a kayak. And every time I come across a sheep's head, dude, I don't know if it's because the hole makes a noise or if they're just that finicky, but dude, I feel like I just stand up and I cock my rod back and they're gone. Like I don't think I've ever gotten a shot at a sheep's head at all. It's crazy.
I think water clarity plays, like they are just super, super weary, man.
Yeah.
You have to let it sit and small ticks. And
yeah,
I've seen plenty of sheep's head be caught on fly. But in my experiences, man, they're super easy fish, and anybody can do it because I did it my first time I actually tried. So
I don't see what the big deal is, man. It's too easy.
I don't know, man. It was way too easy. So
I had a shot on one when I was down in Texas a couple weeks ago, and I was over in some flats outside Port Aransas, between Port Aransas and Corpus, and I was out there good ways, and I found some grass, and there was a channel on the other side of the grass, and I was just like, maybe I can get some reds coming through here. And it was cold too. It was like 40 something degrees. There was like 20, 30 mile per hour winds. It was not a good fishing day. And of course I'm out there wet waiting, and I was all cold and wasn't seeing anything. And I was just, at this point, I was just blind casting into murky water, hoping there was going to be something, and changed fly patterns a couple times and tried some shrimp stuff, some crab stuff, and just wasn't having any luck. And then like I see something out of the corner of my eye, and I turn, and there's this freaking good sized sheep's head, probably like 10 feet from me, just in the grass. And I was like, damn. And so I flopped my fly next to it, and he took off. I was like, damn. But I don't even know like anything about how to fly fish for a sheep's head. So every time I've seen them caught, they've been caught on bait. So
yeah. I was watching a video the other day, and the guy's like, this is how you catch sheep's head. And he was up against the bridge scraping barnacles off the bridge and throwing, and he's putting peas on his hook, green peas on a hook. He was like, I'm on. He's like, come on, you just chum the water, dude.
Right. Yeah, we had Erica Lynn on from Florida, and she was telling us that they love those barnacles, and that's how she bow fishes them. She'll go over to piers and stuff, and they come up sideways, and they eat the barnacle sideways, and she just
I mean, I can see it. I don't know. We they're just around. We usually see them up against the grass, and then we'll see them, and the grass will just be doing this, and you'll get up on it, and there's a sheep's head, get a shot on them. So
that makes sense.
That, or they get her in or around the crab traps and stuff like that. But hell man, that's a good time. It's a good time. Yeah, I still don't see the big deal about sheep's head fishing though. So. But
well, maybe we need to make a trip down there and go do some sheep tournaments and some carp tournaments. But
Yeah, man. Yeah, I don't have the boat. I don't have the boat for the sheep's head, and that's the thing. I've got a 1652 flat boat. That gets me to where I need to go and do what I need to do. But all of my buddies, I've got between my father-in-law and the three guys that I fish with on a regular basis. One of them has a Hell's Bay Professional, the other one a Marquesa, and the other one he's got a Hughes Bay Fisher, and then my father-in-law has a Ranger Phantom. And so it's like, if I bought a boat, it wouldn't get used,
Right,
because the guys I fish with all have boats for it. So
Yeah, that makes
they,
sense.
They that's who I fish with. So if I'm going fishing with one of those guys. So
Right. You have numerous options.
yeah. Whose boat do
That's
I want to be
awesome.
on today?
Right.
So I feel like
That's
royalty.
awesome.
Right.
Right.
I don't have the expenses of keeping up with the Hell's Bay. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a hefty bill there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Those boats are
Yeah.
so sweet though. The
Dude,
last
they
guy
are.
I took out had a Hell's Bay, and I was just like, I
Yeah.
have one of these.
Anyway, my buddy that guides, he has a Professional. I mean, it's definitely a smaller boat than the Marquesa, but that
Yeah.
Professional gets in right up on him, man. Tell you what,
That's crazy.
that old Hughes though, man, she doesn't get as shallow as the rest of them, but and she's shorter than all of them too. But that's the driest ride you'll ever have on a flats boat.
Really?
Oh yeah, that Hughes, man, dude. And a little bit of chop. She's not as fast. She's not as long. She's does a little everything a little bit less than everybody else, but she gets the job done. That's all
that matters, as long as it gets the job done, right?
my buddy that has his Hughes, his casting platform. He fishes left-handed. He casts left-handed. So everybody fishes with his right-handed. You can put two people on the platform and you can cast at the same time. It's so wide
Wow.
up
That's
there,
awesome.
and it's so tall. It's ridiculous.
That's
That's
awesome.
freaking cool.
Yeah, man. So
That's sweet. Well, that'll work, man. Well, we appreciate your time, and everybody that's watching to the end, we appreciate y'all watching to the end. And don't forget to comment your favorite moment from your favorite episode or a random fact from your favorite episode, and try to win a discount code for some Foretold coffee. But other than that, we'll catch y'all next time.
This has been Wildlife Outdoors. Thanks for listening. Follow us on Facebook at Wildlife Outdoors and on Instagram at wild.life.outdoors. Let's go live life on the wild side.